Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a fantastic stack of sources you sent over, all focused on maximizing mental performance.
That's right. We're talking memory, attention, brain health, the big stuff.
And our mission for this deep dive is to distill all of that down into the most actionable knowledge you can use, like today.
And we're going to bridge the gap from, the deep neurobiology of how memories get made all the way to the practical tools. And one tool in particular is, well, it's surprisingly simple: physical movement.
Okay, let's get into it. The sources kick off with the theory, laying out these 4 foundational elements that basically determine if something is memorable or not.
Right, the 4 pillars of memorability. And they're pretty intuitive once you hear them. The first one is novelty.
Meaning our brains are just hardwired to notice new stuff.
Exactly. If something is unusual or unexpected, your attentional system just lights up. You've already won half the battle of getting it encoded.
Okay, so that's one. Then you have the more obvious one, repetition.
Just good old-fashioned practice. It strengthens the neural connections that are already there.
And the third one is association. This one feels really key.
It's huge. It's the process of linking new information to stuff you already know.
Yeah.
The sources had a great example. It's like meeting a stranger, but then you find out they know 10 people you're already friends with.
So that person isn't just a random piece of data anymore. They're anchored into your existing memory network.
Precisely. It makes them way easier to recall.
Okay, but that brings us to the fourth one, and it feels like the most powerful emotional resonance.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, why is it we all remember the happiest moments, the saddest moments, the things that really made us feel something?
This is where the brain science gets. Well, it's beautiful, really. It's this amazing collaboration. When you experience something with a strong emotional charge, good or bad, your amygdala kicks into high gear.
And the amygdala is the brain's emotion processing center.
It is. And it acts like a supervisor in these moments.
Yeah.
It essentially grabs another part of the brain, the hippocampus, by the collar and says, pay attention. This is important.
So it forces the hippocampus to work harder to make sure that experience gets encoded into a strong long-term memory.
You got it. It's a survival mechanism at its core.
So let's talk about the hippocampus, because the sources frame it as, basically the center of who we are.
They do. And it's not an exaggeration. The hippocampus is arguably the most vital structure for creating our own personal history. The name itself means seahorse, which is kind of lovely.
Because of its shape.
Yes, but its function is just profound. And we learned so much about it from the tragic story of the patient known as HM.
Right. He had surgery back in 1954 for epilepsy, and they removed both of his hippocampi.
And the result was immediate and catastrophic. He completely lost the ability to form any new memories of facts or events for the rest of his life.
He could remember his past, but he was just stuck in that moment.
Exactly. Every time he met his doctors, it was for the first time. It showed us that the hippocampus is the gateway. It's the encoder for our life story.
Which leads to this new way of thinking about it, the new hippocampus view, as the sources call it.
Yes, because we're learning it's about more than just remembering the past. Neuroscientists now see it as the Center for Association writ large.
Okay, what does association writ large actually mean?
It means you use it for everything, not just recalling the past, but also for making sense of the present and, amazingly, for imagining the future.
Wait, imagining the future. So without a hippocampus, you can't plan.
You can't construct a detailed mental picture of something you've never experienced. Anytime you need to pull pieces of information together, past, present, or future, you are using your hippocampus. It's the engine of possibility.
Wow. And that ties right back to that emotional resonance thing and what the source calls one-trial learning.
It does. An event with high emotional stakes, like the example of finding your door barred with a crowbar after a burglary. That gets stamped in instantly. Your brain knows it's a survival-level event.
Okay, so we can't all rely on, traumatic events to improve our memory. So how do we actually use this information?
And that brings us to the tools. And the transition here is this incredible personal story from one of the researchers.
This is the story about getting tenure at NYU.
Yes. She describes this relentless 6-year period of just work, nonstop, gained 25 pounds, incredibly high stress.
And the wake-up call was a river rafting trip in Peru.
She realized she was the weakest person there physically. And that shock it flipped a switch. She became what she calls a gym rat.
And then comes the spidey sense moment.
Right. About a year and a half later, she's in the middle of writing this incredibly complex research grant, and this thought pops into her head.
Wow, grant writing went well today, which had never happened before.
Never. She noticed her focus was better, writing was smoother, but the big thing was her memory. She could pull details from like 30 different articles instantly. It was her hippocampus, and she knew it.
And this personal discovery got really urgent when she connected it to her own family.
Yeah, her father, an engineer who wasn't active, was starting to show signs of dementia, getting lost on a short drive. But her mother, a competitive tennis player into her 80s, was sharp as a tack.
The dots just connected. Exercise wasn't just for the body.
It was for the brain. It could be a tool to fight cognitive decline for millions of people.
So she dives into the science. What's actually happening in the brain when we move?
Well, every time you move your body, you get this wonderful little cocktail of neurochemicals, dopamine, serotonin, noradrenaline. That's the immediate mood boost.
To feel-good effect.
But the real magic happens with consistent aerobic exercise. You start releasing a growth factor called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF.
And I've heard this called neurological fertilizer.
That's the perfect term for it. It literally goes straight to the hippocampus and helps grow brand new brain cells. That process is called neurogenesis.
In the adult brain.
In the adult brain. The source material uses this fantastic image. Exercise is like giving your brain a wonderful bubble bath of neurochemicals.
And the goal of that bubble bath is to grow what was the phrase? A big, fat, fluffy hippocampus.
I love that phrase, and it's a real physiological goal. A bigger, healthier hippocampus acts like a cognitive reserve, a buffer. If you're at risk for something like Alzheimer's, it will take that disease much, much longer to impact your memory.
You're literally building resilience in your brain.
That's it.
Okay, so how? How does moving my legs translate to more BDNF in my brain? The sources detailed 2 specific pathways.
Right. Pathway number 1 starts in the muscles. When your muscles contract, they release a protein called myokine.
Myokine.
Myokine gets into your bloodstream, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and directly tells your brain to release more BDNF.
So my biceps are literally sending a message to my brain saying, time to grow.
That's a great way to put it. And pathway 2 starts in the liver. Exercise is a form of, good stress on the body. This causes the liver to release a ketone called beta-hydroxybutyrate.
And that also crosses into the brain.
It does. And it's the second major signal that stimulates BDNF production. So you have this 1-2 punch from your muscles and your liver, both telling your hippocampus to get stronger.
That's incredible. Okay, so for the person listening who hates sweating and thinks, I don't want to be a gym rat, what is the bare minimum to get some benefit?
The sources have great news on that front. For an immediate mood shift, just 10 minutes of walking outside is enough to get that initial neurochemical bubble bath going.
Just 10 minutes.
That's the threshold for a mood boost from dopamine and serotonin.
But if we want the structural changes, that big, fluffy hippocampus and better focus from the prefrontal cortex, we need cardio.
You need to get your heart rate up. And the immediate effects from a single session are pretty amazing.
So if I do, say, a 30 or 45-minute aerobic workout, what happens right away?
You get the mood boost for sure. But you also get measurably better performance on focus tasks, like the Stroop test, and your reaction time improves.
And how long do those acute benefits last?
The data shows they last for up to 2 hours after you stop exercising.
2 hours. That's a huge return on investment.
It really is. And it leads to a very clear recommendation. The best time to exercise is right before you need to use your brain the most.
So for a lot of us, that means first thing in the morning, before that big block of work.
Exactly. You're giving yourself a 2-hour cognitive advantage.
And the long-term data is even more motivating. That Swedish women's study.
Staggering. Just staggering. They track women for over 40 years, from their 40s into their 80s.
And the finding was women who were considered high fit back in their 40s gained, what was it?
An average of 9 more years of good cognition later in life compared to the low-fit group. 9 years.
A 9-year difference in quality of life. That's hard to ignore.
It really puts it in perspective.
So what's the minimum dose to start seeing improvements if you're not exercising at all?
They studied that. They took low-fit people, exercising less than 30 minutes a week, and had them do cardio 2 to 3 times a week for 3 months.
And the sessions weren't even that long.
45 minutes total, with about 35 minutes of intense work, like a spin class. And the results were clear.
What improved?
Better mood, better body image, more motivation, and, crucially, better performance on focused tasks and improved hippocampal memory.
So it proves you don't have to go from 0 to 100. You just have to start.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And for people who are already exercising.
A mid-fit group. Did they hit a ceiling?
Not at all. They had them increase their workouts up to 7 times a week in some cases. The finding was simple and powerful. Every drop of sweat counted.
The more they exercise, the better their mood and the better their memory.
There was a direct dose-response relationship.
Okay, so exercise is clearly the foundation, but the sources also point to a more holistic toolkit. Let's talk about affirmations.
Yeah, this was interesting. There's an exercise form that combines physical movements, kickboxing, yoga, with spoken positive affirmations.
So you're saying things like, I am strong now, while you're actually doing a physical movement.
Exactly. And that act of declaring it in your own voice
Yeah.
while your body is active, it seems to be a powerful way to interrupt negative self-talk.
And then there's meditation. The data here was really practical.
Very practical. This wasn't hours of sitting on a cushion. The study used 8 weeks of a daily 12-minute guided body scan meditation.
12 minutes a day. Most people can find that time.
And the results were significant. Lower stress response, better mood, and improved cognitive performance. The key mechanism seems to be training your brain to focus on the present moment.
Right. It's a tool to stop you from being locked in anxiety about the future or regrets about the past.
It anchors you. It clears your focus.
So when you pull this all together, the sources give us a really tight, actionable list. The top 3 tools for improving learning and attention.
Number 1, no surprise, is exercise, for the direct chemical effects on the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus.
Number 2 is meditation, for training focus and reducing that stress response.
And number 3 is the non-negotiable, sleep. It's essential. It's when your brain consolidates memories and cleans house. It underpins all the other benefits.
Okay, so to recap this whole deep dive, the hippocampus is our engine of association for past, present, and future. BDNF is the neurological fertilizer we can control with movement, and even a single cardio session gives you a 2-hour cognitive boost.
And the long-term data just screams that consistency is king. That regular movement is how you build that cognitive reserve, that big, fluffy hippocampus that can protect your mind for decades to come.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. We know a 30 to 45-minute workout gives you up to 2 hours of enhanced cognitive performance. And we know that consistency builds a long-term buffer. So what is one major cognitive challenge you're facing right now? A big presentation, a tough exam, a critical negotiation. And how can you schedule this tool, this scientifically proven advantage, right before that moment to maximize not just your performance today, but your brain's health for a lifetime? Go get moving.